I owe
True,
you.
true.
I owe you a lot of things, Scott. But top of the list might be introducing me to that kolaches place there in Provo.
Oh, that's so good.
By the way, have you done any digging into the precise, accurate pronunciation of the word?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, me neither. So
Kind of fun to
I'm always a little
kind of
bit
fun to
worried.
find out.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit
Yeah.
worried how to if I'm offending somebody.
No, I don't think so, because people would be like stuffing it in their mouth. At that point,
Ah,
they don't
yeah,
really
there you
care how
go.
it, you know.
The appropriate way to pronounce that word is.
You're right.
Let's see
Oh,
here.
true story.
So Scott, what tell me a little bit. I've got some very Scott specific questions, but in general, I'm curious what brought you to bagpipes? Because you are one of the like just glorious and happy situations where you came to Garden Valley Pipe Band to learn to play, and you're playing with us now. I'm curious, how'd you find out about the pipe band and bagpipes in general? Where does your interest, originate?
Yeah, for sure. Um, well, I've always enjoyed the sound and the music of the bagpipes throughout my life. But specifically, 3 years ago, I was up here at Utah State for a graduation, and at the start of the graduation ceremony, there was a pipe band, the USU Scots, that came in and started playing, and it just struck me just how beautiful it was in in person. Like, just hearing the live music, it really hit me. Just something
Hmm.
really struck a chord. And then they played a, a tune I'd never heard before called Highland Cathedral, and
Oh,
it
of
just
course.
it kept building and building and building, and it just something really moved me. I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. And so following that, I just was like, wow, what would it take to learn how to play the bagpipes?
Mm.
And so um, I just started looking up online, like bagpipe lessons, how to learn to play the bagpipes. And the first thing that came up actually was the Garden Valley Pipe Band.
All right, go us for SEO control, huh?
I know, it was pretty awesome. So location was good, the price was great, and yeah, I just
Cool.
started with that.
Do you did they was it pipes and drums exclusively at that graduation, or did they have any sort of accompaniment? Highland Cathedral, of course, is one that often you'll hear organ or something else along with it.
Yeah, it was interesting. So they started with the solo piper, drummers came in, the rest of the pipe band joined. They had a brass and a small choir that came in. Like
Mm.
man, it just brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah, I bet it was
It
beautiful.
was so good. Yeah, it was great.
The Scotsmen are is that what they? I always forget what USU exactly what they call the band. Is it the USU Scots or the USU Scotsmen or something like that?
I think it's USU Scotsman. Yeah.
Yeah. They often are a smallish group, but I think they always pack a real punch. I remember one year,
They
not that
really
long ago,
do.
they did a set of Swedish tunes. I think it was Swedish tunes in competition, which some judges poo-poo on that. But I thought it was amazing, and they were so bang in tune, and the harmonies were so great, and they were a small group, but by playing well, they had a huge sound.
That's cool.
It's a
Yeah.
good program.
Yeah, that's just really cool. Yep.
So you
But then,
go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, but then following that, it really it blew my mind of how many really good pipe bands there are in the state.
Hmm.
Um, small bands, big bands, just it was cool that, just to learn Ben Lomond and Wasatch and Salt Lake and Utah and Garden Valley and oh, Thomas Cordner. It was like, oh my gosh,
And
where has this been all my life?
right, and White Peaks and oh, you
Yeah,
said Thomas Corden, yeah, yeah. It is funny, right? It's like you would expect it's such a niche thing. You'd expect like, oh, there's probably like a group in the state, maybe
yeah,
maybe in the
right,
four state area even, and then you find out, oh no,
right,
there's like a half dozen groups right here. Good heavens.
yeah.
Well, we
Yeah,
will.
what's going on? What do these people know? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Why has nobody cued me into this before? Well, we will be as a group. We're going to be just reaping the benefits of you coming to play with us for decades, I'm sure, because you've put so much work into figuring out how to apply for these grants that have really helped us out, especially this recent change in practice location. We finally have a year-round indoor outdoor practice location. That is it's so great.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's just
Do
so
you
good.
have any background in, I don't know, legal writing or anything like that? Or was it pure curiosity and stick-to-itiveness that got you through these first grant applications?
Well, it kind of goes back to college, and I'll tell you a quick story about that.
Hmm.
So I took English in school, but I was also minoring in music. And so when I graduated with my English degree, I was looking for a job, and the first job that I was looking for, they said, "Well, do you have any marketing experience?" And I was like, "I just graduated from college. Like,
Yeah.
I've been a grocery store bagger and I had a paper route. Like, no, I don't have any experience." But like on the fly, my brain just kind of clicked in. I went, marketing, marketing, marketing. Well, I took a bunch of fiction writing classes, and I said that. And the guy paused for a beat and he goes, "I'll give you the job."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's true. I mean, I took poetry and fiction writing and creative writing and whatever, but so I think just having that confidence, like, well, I could write something, like
Yeah.
give me the parameters, I'll just go for it.
Yeah. So that's the same kind of thing that happened with writing for the grants, huh? You were just kind of like, I could probably do
Yeah,
this.
yeah, I can read directions pretty well and follow them. Well, I don't have to follow them, but
Right, right. Well,
so
obviously you did an
yeah,
excellent job because here we are
well,
with a
thanks.
practice location and even some money in the bank account, and it's all thanks to you doing
Yeah,
that. So personally and as a group, let
well,
me
I'm glad.
just vicariously for everyone say thank you a million times.
You're welcome. I'm so glad it worked out.
Yeah, and may it continue to work out in the years to come, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, with your minor in music, I mean, I knew you did some other music stuff. Of course, you're a great organ player. Some of the I'm not just saying this, Scott. Some of the absolute best moments in my musical life have been the times when we've done organ bagpipe duet, and
Oh my gosh, it's
I
just been
want to do more.
so much fun.
It is so much fun, man. The way that those two instruments
Yeah.
can fill up a space with just sound gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's so cool. The only downside is the pipes are portable, but the organ is not. I wish you could
Right.
take it, take it on the road.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? The what's it been like as someone who was already familiar with music and standard musical forms, not to mention normal concert pitch tuning, to come into the sort of the world of bagpipes where a lot of stuff seems to be sort of from the hip.
Oh, it's so similar, but it's also so different too.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It is very different.
Did
But,
it throw you at all? Oh, go ahead.
no, well, a little bit, because I was thinking 9 notes. Well, that's pretty easy, right? I
Hmm.
mean, I should be able to pick that up with a hand and a half, right?
Yeah,
Well, okay, almost two hands.
almost.
Almost two hands. But I think the thing that's been the hardest for me is, some of the embellishments and the grace notes. Like,
Mm.
oh, so that's where the technique and, really the beauty and the mastery of the bagpipes comes in, of
Mm.
being able to get both of those. So,
Therein lies the madness, right? That's where you can
yes.
that's where you can hunker down for decades and decades and still feel like you're a beginner.
Yeah. And I think the other thing was when I think I read this or somebody said it at one point that well, you're just not playing one instrument. You're playing four. And I was like, oh, no wonder I'm kind of out of breath all the time.
Yeah, that is one way to look at it, huh? Was it strange for you
Yep.
at all reading the musical notation, looking for, like, oh, it's in the key of A. Where are my sharps at, or anything like that, or was it pretty easy to just kind of go with the flow?
No, that was pretty easy to go with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is kind of cool. I mean, we've talked about this, with different chords and different keys and, playing in different ranges. It's like, yeah, it's cool to see how it does fit, with minor keys. I think
Mm.
one of the sets we played at Christmas time, that was really cool, just looking at, wow, this works in a minor key and what key is that and how does it all come together? So
Mm.
that was definitely fun to, figure that out.
Yeah, I've sometimes felt that it's precisely the limitations that the limited range and the strange tuning, etc., bagpipes present that make it so that when you can work something out, it's especially interesting or rewarding. Where because if,
Yeah.
if it were a easily tuned concert pitch, fully chromatic instrument, that those kinds of collaborations they'd come together pretty easy, pretty effortlessly, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Well, even the other night in practice, I mean, we were going through common marches and we kind of ran out everybody, what we knew to play, and somebody said, "Well, let's play Simple Gifts." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a great tune too." And
Hmm.
so even that tune when we're playing it, the set that we had a key change in it. I'm like, even that's pretty cool that you start with, the low A and then you move up and
Yeah.
change keys and yeah, it's possible. So
Yeah, and doesn't the rarity of a key change in bagpipe music, doesn't that just make it, when it does happen, just like so satisfying?
yeah.
Whoa. So who,
Yep.
when you're at home, other outside of band practice, who is it that gets to listen to you practicing?
My family.
Hmm. And are they
Yep.
fans of this new madness that you've brought into the home?
They tolerate it, so
They,
that's helpful.
they haven't kicked you out yet.
No. And they actually come to concerts and they support me, so that's helpful.
It's love of you, if not love of the music, right? You
Right.
had a lot of social capital to spend going into it, so you'll be okay, right?
Right.
Among your family or even other people, who do you think is who would, if you have to pick someone, who's your biggest fan? Who absolutely loves,
Oh my
or at
gosh.
least most loves, the fact that you've gone into this bagpiping stuff?
Well, definitely my nephew and his dad. So my brother, and his son, they eat it up. It's cool. So we've come a couple of times to Logan and listened to the USU Scotsman play, and then every time that we play, um, at the Utah, what's that called? Where they have first part of June, they've got the Highland Games, the Utah Games.
Yeah, yeah, the Utah Games or
Um,
Utah Scottish Festival, or honestly, I'm not sure
yeah,
what the official name is. Refer to it by
I don't know what
various
it is
names.
either.
Yeah.
In Salt Lake. But yeah, my brother and his son and their cadre of friends all come, and they just love everything Scottish. So
Mm.
it's cool.
Well, that's great. Is there anything, like, if you could reinvent the bagpipes, is there anything that you would add to it or take away?
Well, I think it's already been invented. I mean,
Hmm.
the what's the that you put under your right arm with your small pipes?
Oh, the
It's the
bellows.
yeah, I almost need some bellows to play the regular pipes.
Yeah, I've thought about that too before. Like, why doesn't somebody get on this? Let's make some big ones.
I don't know, something working into your shoe, as you're walking that helps pump it
Yeah,
up. I don't know.
some kind of supplemental air supply means would be good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
would be helpful. Maybe a little, pack on the back, like a little scuba tank or something.
Oh, there you go. Just a pressurized pack. If money were no object, do you have any bagpipe related items, be it uniform pieces or travel or instruments, that you would just love to have?
Oh, that's a great question. It seems like everything that I'm looking at is about $500, and I don't know why that's like the magical starting point number for everything, but
Yeah.
I would love to get like a set of some small pipes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be kind of fun to learn to play. Um, but definitely, I'd love to go watch the Worlds in Scotland. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, it would be cool to like go to Australia or some of these other places, maybe Germany, and go listen to some of their games.
Yeah.
Be a game. What's that called? Like the Globetrotters. Be a
Yeah.
bagpipe world traveler. Just go listen and play.
I've heard, I don't know if it's been true in the past and isn't anymore, or if it continues to be true, but I've heard, now there are some great bands in Australia and in New Zealand, but I've heard that there
Hmm,
are more bagpipers per capita in New Zealand than in any other country.
interesting.
And of course, I'm just going to go ahead and say that without Googling it to make sure. So I'm just let that sit there. But
Oh, it sounds good.
yeah, sounds pretty good. Outside of bagpiping, what other interests or hobbies occupy your mind and your time and your energy?
Um, well, definitely my kids are my biggest hobby right now, so
Hmm.
that's always fun to be with them. I've got four kids. Only one at home, so that hobby's what, diminishing? Not diminishing.
Oh, that poor fourth child now.
I know.
Just kidding. Yeah, it's a
He's bored to tears. He's like,
yeah.
you parents are so old and boring. Um, but I play music still. I mean, with other instruments. I pick up the ukulele, and there's a small group in the neighborhood that we jam once a month. It's kind of fun. We've got this hodgepodge of ukuleles and banjos and drummers and bass, piano. So it's kind of a mix of weirdness, but it's always fun and good.
Yeah, that sounds super
Um,
fun.
I love art. Um, I've always done art. I took up oil painting a couple of years ago, and if I had more hours in the day, I'd do more of that. But that's always been fun to play with as well.
Do you have a favorite subject matter for paintings?
Usually landscapes,
Hmm.
kind of outdoors, still lifes, landscapes. Yeah.
Do you often paint from an image, or do you like to go set up your easel outside, or is it sometimes pulled from sort of the imagination or memory?
Well, the goal is to do more of the plein air, to be outside, just kind of have the paints and the palettes just with me to go. But I haven't done that a lot. So usually it's just inside, from a photo or find something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's an art professor at BYU, and my father-in-law teaches biology there. And so I
Hmm.
was somewhat aware that as a college professor, you usually have to split your time. Sometimes there are very strict rules about how many hours you spend between instructing and research or publishing,
Hmm. Hmm.
depending on the field, et cetera. And so I asked this guy who's an art professor, how does that work out for an artist? And he said, well, basically it's the same thing, but on the one hand you have instruction, and on the other hand you have practice. So this semester I have like a 20/80 split between teaching and painting. And so I have like
Oh,
a
wow.
requisite number of hours that I have to spend painting. And he's like, it's a funny assignment to have because it's like this is all I would want to do anyway. So I start my stopwatch and go out into a field and paint landscapes, and just then I check it and oh, I've got 74 more hours of landscape painting I've got to get done this month.
Wow.
Wouldn't
That's
that be
awesome.
a task to have, huh?
No kidding. Oh, that's great. Yeah,
So, are there
that's
any
awesome.
any TV shows or movies that you are currently binging or that you especially love to revisit?
Some of the favorite movies that I've watched are like Jason Bourne. Um, I'm definitely a Hogwarts fan. Star
Hmm.
Trek, Star Wars.
Now, I've got
But
to.
yeah, I really like kind of the. No, go ahead.
Well, I need to back you up to Star Trek and ask, like, like who's your captain? Which which iteration is the go-to for you? Which one's the true Star Trek?
Well, I really like the new series that came out. I can't remember the name of the actor. Like that J.J. Abrams directed, those were just
Of those films.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, those films are so cool.
Mhm.
I grew up watching the reruns of uh, William Shatner, so those are that kind of hits my heart. But
Mhm.
I really like Picard. He's good too.
Yeah. Yeah, Picard's probably always been my favorite, but they're all good, of course.
Yeah,
If I
they're
had
all
to
different.
choose, if I had to choose an Enterprise to be on, I would hope to be under Captain Picard.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
The the William Shatner has had an interesting musical career. Have you, by chance, been privy to any of his albums that he's put out?
I have not.
Well, we've got some links to share, my friend, because it's
Well,
remarkable
there we
stuff.
go.
He does this spoken. I know there's a name for it. It's like spoken speak singing kind of thing. Um,
Interesting.
oh yeah, it is interesting. You can imagine his style of monologue, and then just put music behind it, and that's basically what it comes out to, and it's remarkable.
Uh, that's pretty cool. Well, I feel like I need to open my mind a little bit more.
Yeah, actually, and Leonard Nimoy. No, wait, is that Leonard Nimoy played Spock, right? Suddenly, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
He did some music as well, and he did an excellent song about Bilbo Baggins. I can't remember what he titled it. If he called it "What Is a Hobbit" or if he just called it "Bilbo, the Favorite Hobbit We Know" or something like that. It was very
Oh
cheesy, but he
my
did a whole
goodness.
music video for it and stuff as well. It's delightful.
I will have to look that up.
Yeah, it's worth your time for sure. Uh, Now, aside from the USU Scotsman, is there any other, be it professionally recording or not, bagpiper or bagpipe band that you especially enjoy listening to recreationally?
Oh yeah. So I love listening to, is it the 78th Frasers, like their old
Mm-hmm.
recording? That's such a good recording. But um I just actually kind of like listening to the worlds. I mean, until I get my fill of it, but like listening to Inverary um play. I'm trying to remember the name of the group that's had like this streak for years and years and years.
Could have been Field Marshal Montgomery or Simon Fraser University
Yes.
or
Yeah, I both of those. Yeah, both of those are really good. I like some of the concerts that Simon Fraser's have done.
mhm.
Just they've got some good arrangements, good tunes that they've created too.
I've heard people say before, and I'm curious what your take on it would be, that bagpipes are an instrument that are uniquely designed to be enjoyed outdoors and from a distance.
I've heard people say that, and one of their favorite tunes could be "Over the Hill and Far Away." Kind of the same thing, right?
That's a good one. That's a very good one. Well, where you have your beginnings in bagpipes within living memory, what do you have any pieces of advice or recommendations? Like, if you were speaking to somebody who's like kind of went, "Wow, bagpipes sounds so cool. I would love to play." What would you tell them? How would you get them started?
Oh my gosh, probably the biggest thing is just practice.
Mm-hmm.
Practice, practice, practice. But really, one of the beauties of working with a band or a class like the Garden Valley offers, it's just it's just the small corrections and the direction just to be like you're doing it right, you're holding it right. Um, yeah, just kind of that encouragement. That's been so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, that's great. Are there any unique places that you've played your pipes, or have you played them for any sort of notable or unique or strange situations or people?
Let me think. I mean, some of the fun places we've done is like the Salt Lake St. Patrick's Day concert, marching down
Oh yeah, isn't that a
State
fun
Street,
one?
some of the other roads. That was a lot of fun.
That goes
A lot of green.
it's the one that goes down through the Gateway Mall and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
Or am I
yeah.
thinking of?
That was no, that was it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was right.
yeah, I love that.
So
I
that
love
was a
that
lot
one
of fun.
too. That is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, go on.
no, I was just trying to think. Um, Yeah, I really haven't done too many crazy places. I have watched, there's a couple of people on Facebook that like mountaintop to mountaintop that they're like pulling the pipes out and playing middle of a snowstorm and
Yeah.
just all over. I can't remember the name of the guy. He's in
You
Scotland.
you need to get one of those bagpipe hiking bags or something so you can pack your pipes up to temp or something sometime, huh?
Yeah, that would be cool.
What's your current instrument setup? What kind of pipes do you have, and what kind of practice channel do you play on? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so the pipes that I have, I think they're McCallum's.
Hmm.
Um, and they actually have kind of a unique story. So when I started playing the pipes, I was looking for a set of pipes and trying to figure out what's my budget and how do I buy them and where do I buy them from? Do I buy new? Do I buy used? Um, I'm not a big pawn shop, um, you know,
Hmm. Connoisseur, maybe
scavenger, but my
scavenger.
sons
There
and
you
I,
go.
yeah, yeah, scavenger. My sons and I just happened to pop into a pawn shop. Actually, we went to an Army Navy store next to it there in Orem, and
Oh,
we
the
went to the pawn
surplus one.
shop, and
That,
yeah,
that looks kind of
yeah,
like
and
it's like one of those half pipe buildings.
yeah, big Quonset metal huts,
Yeah, yeah.
and right,
I know that shop.
yeah, we love going in there. And so right next to it was a pawn shop, and we went in, and I went, well, by golly, that's a set of pipes there on the shelf, and they were about $500, and we looked at them, and one of the pipers in the band, Josh, came and looked at them with me, and it didn't have any reeds or yeah, drone reeds or channel reeds or anything, but the wood, the stock, the bag, everything looked great. And so he set it up with his reeds and asked if we could play in the pawn shop, and the owner's like, yeah, we kind of wondered what they sound like, and he cranked them up and played them, and he goes, yeah, they sound like they're a good set. So I bought my first used set of pipes from a pawn shop.
That's awesome, and that's a great find. I mean, honestly, that's a real good price for a set of McAllen bagpipes. So I congratulate
Yeah,
you.
and
Good find.
thank you very much. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, well, who was the owner?
Yeah, where
What's the
these come
history on
from?
him? And I hope it was not a desperate, plea for cash that someone had to get rid of him, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Hopefully, somebody
But
got like a new set of pipes, and so then they were like, "Well, I guess I'll just go pawn these or something like that."
yeah, moving out of state or I don't know,
Oh
did
yeah,
something
moving to
else.
Hungary maybe. They just needed to get rid of them
Yeah.
because we know that happens.
So yeah, so I've got the pipes. I think I've got an RG Hardy practice chanter,
Hmm.
but then I also bought an electronic chanter. I think it's the same set that you have.
Oh, the Glencoe.
I love them.
I do
They're so
too.
good. I
They're
really
so
like
good,
them.
and I feel I'm so thankful to them honestly for making a good product at a good price because a lot of the other stuff that's comparable to these is at a much higher price, and so it's very
Yeah,
kind of
so
them.
much more expensive. Yep. The only thing, and we've talked about this, is you definitely need to have some sort of a lotion on your hand to play them.
Yeah,
But that's not a bad thing. I
man.
mean,
Who loves those more though, Scott? You or your family? Like who are these really for?
yeah, how did I get those at Father's Day? Oh, yeah, we'll get them for you, no
Yeah,
problem.
that's exactly how I got mine too. My wife bought them for me when she found out they existed. She was like, "This is for me, but you can have it."
Right. So that's what I've got. Yeah, it's a pretty good setup.
Awesome. Do you have any sort of pre-performance ritual before going out for a parade or a competition or other kind of performance, whether it be the night before or moments before? Anything you do to kind of find your center or prepare?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is I'll just look back through the music and do that reality check of, okay, what I've memorized, does it really match with what I should be playing?
Mm-hmm, hmm.
Just a final read, just to look at it. No. I don't have anything like, oh, I have like a, special pair of socks or I have a talisman or anything that I wear. Nothing like that. So
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm pretty straightforward on that
I
one.
I hope everybody washes their socks in between performances. I just it's if I had to pick one thing to do away with in the world of piping and drumming, it would be the wool hose. I I just don't like the feel of them on my skin and stuff. So I always wear a second pair inside so I don't
Yeah.
have to touch them. But then I've had days before where we did like multiple parades in a day or something, and I didn't have a second pair of socks and I had to pull on dirty socks. Oh,
Ugh.
it's making me cringe just to remember it. That's one of the worst experiences. Shows what a blessed life I've had, but wearing dirty socks is one of the worst things I've ever done.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I read somewhere somebody said it's a good idea just to get a really thin pair of socks just to wear underneath. And I'm like, that's a great idea. I mean,
Yes.
sometimes I'll do it when I'm hiking and whatnot, but that has been a lifesaver for me. I mean,
Yeah.
just to have that extra little cushion there and
Hmm.
yeah, just to
Yeah. Well, I feel like
keep the wool
especially
socks off the skin.
yeah, especially if you get some sort of cotton sock in there, it's nice and soft. Where like in parades and stuff, if there's any kind of movement in your shoe, that wool can really dig into
Yeah.
your skin.
Yep. Yep.
So I was going to ask you about pineapple.
Oh yeah.
Does this belong on pizza or should it be kept far away from pizza?
Oh, it should be on there for sure.
Hmm.
It's one of those things.
And
It's very controversial though.
it
I've
is.
come to learn that.
That's absolutely true. Well, that's why we're asking these hard hitting questions here on this podcast. But yeah, and
Well, pineapple's it's a safe word. So yes, my
the what do you think we are? I'm thinking we call this podcast droning on. What do you think of that?
oh yeah,
Is that nice?
yeah,
My wife
that's
thought of
quite
that.
good.
All my best ideas come from my wife.
Well, you should keep her. She's a good one.
Man, the question is if she'll keep me. There's no question about me keeping her. I just gotta keep playing that electric chanter and not screw anything up. That's all I'm playing right now. Scott, do you have any when you strike up your pipes, whether it's for practice or maybe for your nephew and your brother, or other people? Do you have any song that is like sort of your most requested that people always want to hear?
Oh yes, most everybody really wants to hear Scotland the Brave, and it's really
Hmm.
funny. My sister-in-law goes, isn't that the only song you can play? And she's like,
Yeah,
it all sounds the same. I'm like, no, 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 no. Just hold on, hold on. Let me
yeah,
play another tune. And she's like, yeah, it kind of sounds the same. I'm
yeah.
like, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I have a theory about that. I could be wrong, but I've encountered the same thing, and it is understandable. It's certainly understandable with no
Oh,
dynamics and
sure.
with the same scale and everything like that. Like, sure, stuff does start to sound the same. But my wife has told me before that. So my wife and I've known each other since we were kids. Like when I started playing bagpipes, and so
Yeah.
she has been exposed to a lot of bagpipes. And she's told me before that for years that's exactly how she felt. I'd be in the backyard practicing for hours on some new medley, and she'd think I was working on one
Yeah.
song. I'm like, no, there are 5 different songs. And there's a straspe and there's a reel and there's a march and there's a slow air. And she's like, oh, I thought it was the same song. But in more recent years, she has developed a much more discerning ear, and she can identify not only different songs but also good piping. She go, oh wow, that person really knows what they're doing, don't
Mm.
they? Yeah, you bet they do. That person is Stuart Little, Missy. You make sure he absolutely knows what he's doing. But my
Yeah.
theory is that it's partly becoming numb to the drones. I think that if you
Mm.
first, in fact, I've encountered this when playing with other musicians as well. That I'll play something and say, "Here's the chord progression," or "Can you come up with a chord progression or something?" And they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Well, the drones are the same the whole time," and it's like you kind of have to become blind to those drones and just kind of hear the chanter more clearly. And I
Yeah.
wonder if for
Yeah.
the unindoctrinated, if hearing that when those drones come in, there's a part of your ear that sticks to that, and so of course that sounds the same
That might
all
be.
the time.
Yeah, that might be. And it's interesting. Maybe it's a different reaction to the drones. I feel like anytime the pipes start droning, it's like a snake charmer. Like I'm hypnotized.
Mm-hmm,
At
mm-hmm.
least it sucks me in. It's like I can't not listen now.
You know those ancestry DNA kits that they'll do traits like how
Yeah,
susceptible you are to the
yeah.
effects of caffeine or if you have cilantro aversion, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm excited for the day when they're going to identify a DNA marker that is like you have an aversion to bagpipes or you are highly susceptible to bagpipes, because I really do think that there's something like inborn in some of us that's one or the other.
So funny. Yep.
Well, Scott, do you
Well,
have?
and
Oh,
this
go ahead.
this is even this is I was just gonna say this is even like out there, but I heard I can't remember where it was, but I heard it was an Indian player that played the sitar,
Mm.
and it's like that it had like 32 strings and
Oh
it's like
yeah, those
12
things are
feet
crazy. Yeah.
tall, and um but it also had a drone quality to it, and it in a strange sort of way, it kind of reminded me of the bagpipes. And so, there are Indian pipers and there's Pakistani pipers, but maybe that's another collaboration day. We could get a sitar and some sort of a drum together with the pipes.
I would love that. I would love that so much. I heard a group once. I think they're out of Texas. I think they're called the Silver Thistle, maybe pipe bands. It's something to do with the thistle in some
Yeah,
kind of metal.
yeah,
And they did
yeah.
a collaboration with a. I think it was a samba um, percussion line. Would have been
Oh my
samba. It was
goodness.
something out of Brazil, which there's a lot of great music out of Brazil, of course. So I'm not sure exactly which, but it was a a Latin American percussion line, and all the pipe band
Yeah.
did was play common marches. But this change in the
Oh,
rhythm that was
interesting.
backing it up was really, I thought it was delightful. I loved it.
That's pretty cool.
Mixing it
Yeah,
up with a sitar
that's
would
a
be a
good
lot of fun,
good
and all
possibilities.
kinds of other things.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Scott, to button this up, what would you like to say to
Yes.
our fellow pipers and drummers who will be listening to this? Stand on your soapbox and
Oh my
share,
goodness.
be it words of inspiration or advice or ex, expressions of love, whatever it is. Go for it. This is your moment. Everyone's listening.
Okay, two words. Pipe on.